Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jessica Abernathy, and with me today is Trisha Montgomery, and you are listening to Pets Are Family.
Tanya, thank you for joining us. Gosh, it is such an honor for us to have you here with us. Your work is just absolutely fascinating. Talk to us a little bit about how you got started in this.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here and excited about our conversation. I started working with animals in 2013, but I'm sure, as you can imagine, I've been an animal lover all my life. I definitely grew up watching Animal Planet and dreaming about, being somewhere in Africa looking at elephants. When I went to university, I studied economics, which obviously doesn't have much to do with animals. But when I was about 21 or so, I moved to London just to try to figure out what I want to do as a young adult. And it took me a couple of years, but I recognized that I had this huge love for dogs and cats. And whenever I would see a dog or a cat in the vicinity, I would just start melting over it and want to, engage with it. So it was a bit of an epiphany moment. One day I thought, well, why don't I do dog walking and pet sitting? And I quickly researched the businesses, the services that were in the area that I was living at the time. And I guess, luckily for me, realized that there were quite a few very successful businesses, and that was actually something that people could do for a living. So I began my business there for about 2.5 years. And then after that, love brought me to the States in New York City, where I began that same pet sitting business again. And it was about 3 years in, I knew that the more that I would work with dogs on a daily basis, the more I recognized that I needed, people would ask me questions. I needed to have more knowledge on training and behavior. Right. And it was actually during a case that I was working on with a trainer. So she was a trainer and I was the walker for the dog that I really got hooked onto training. Like, she was just so amazing. She was showing me how to work with this dog who was afraid of the city and the sounds. And I could see that we were making such a great progress. And then after that, we partnered on a few more projects or clients. And then from there, I was hooked. And then my certification journey began. I've had my knowledge assessed by the Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers. My most recent one, I just graduated, or I just became a fear-free certified trainer, which means that I help dogs mainly, not cats, but I help them feel more comfortable with vet and grooming procedures. And I am a behavior geek, so I try to learn as much as I can and be a part of the community of positive reinforcement and force-free trainers. So when we moved to Denver about 5 years ago, I began this business of family pubs where I specialize on puppies, adult dogs, basic manners, behavioral issues. And I also work with expecting families as a doggy doula. So a bit of a long story short.
So cool. Yeah, I was going to say, that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah. And I love, Tanya, that you care so much about certifications and you have worked really hard to achieve those, because I think Jessica and I often talk about things that make us go, and we talk about that a lot.
Yes, because we do.
Because we've been in the pet industry for quite a while now. And Jessica is actually the past president of the National Association of Pet Sitters.
Yeah, and professional pet sitters.
Professional pet sitters. And so we talk a lot about certifications. Tell us the certifications and the process of that. So when you've gotten certification, what does it entail and what does that mean to you?
So the Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers, I I don't remember the exact count of hours, but I think I needed to log at least about 100 hours of working with private clients, teach group classes. And at the time, I was teaching some classes at the local Humane Society, as well as some puppy socialization classes. I had to have a referral. I got a referral from a veterinarian, and then I had to pass a test that has 300 questions. It takes several hours to complete, and then as far as I remember, you have to have at least 75% success rate at the test in order to get certified with knowledge assessed from the Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers.
That's that. And then do you have to maintain that certification if anybody's thinking, and what does that entail to keep your certification and those credentials?
Yep. So there is continuing education units. So pretty much, every time I take a course, a webinar, when I go to a dog training conference, they will present us with these codes that have the number of units that you get, and then you enter those into your login information. So every year you have to log in a certain number, I believe it's 30, in order to show that you're continuing to learn and grow your education. And then I think there was something at the 3-year mark, but I'm not sure yet. I have to double check.
That's really cool.
Yeah, our podcast is really about educating pet parents and the resources that they know. Tell me, if I am a pet parent and I'm looking for a trainer, what do I need to look for? What are some things that I need to look for if I'm just kind of doing the Dr. Google? How does that work?
Yeah. Obviously, you probably know too, the dog training field is unregulated and honestly just kind of all over the place in terms of there is no agreement on, training approaches, training methods, what is ethical training, are all training tools okay? Are some training tools not the best first step when it comes to training dogs? So it's a bit of a minefield, but
that's a good word for it. I like that word.
Yes, and everyone is very sensitive, very opinionated. Well, one thing that we can tell for sure that there's consensus on is that trainers who talk about dominance and pack leaders, it is an outdated theory. It has been disproven. So that already is going to be a red flag if you're looking for a trainer and they're talking about, being dominant over your dog. Other than that, I think right now, with the way everything is set up, it will have to be like a personal choice and moral decision, the type of training that you're going to go for. I typically highly recommend force-free and positive reinforcement type of training. This is what studies show us is the most effective, also best on the bond, and with fewer side effects, or even, I don't know what are the side effects of positive reinforcement, but
hey, if you're in a good human animal bond.
Exactly. But yes, just kind of looking for those plus credentials. As I mentioned, there is the CPDT, there is the Karen Pryor Academy. They have their certified training partners. There is the Academy for Dog Trainers. There is the Pet Professional Guild. So I will be looking for a certification from somewhere. So when I'm reading at the trainer's bio, I do want to see, sometimes it can be, hey, I just really love dogs and I trained this dog and I turn out to be really good. So now I'm a dog behaviorist. And this to me is a red flag because when I hear dog behaviorist without any credentials or dog psychologist, it doesn't tell me that this person really has gone through education and showcasing that they have any credentials. So that's important.
Yeah, we had a discussion about this. It's really easy to call yourself something on your LinkedIn profile, but when obviously those credentials behind you are so, so important. I love that about you. And just, I think that actually, I think my son and his girlfriend have used you, if I'm correct in saying that. So, yeah. What I also found fascinating, I was actually able to be on your podcast as well. What I found fascinating is the doggy doula. Tell me about. I was so I don't know of a lot. I think that's so interesting, and I don't know anyone else is doing that. Talk about that.
Me too. I know when Trisha told me
Oh,
that, I
cool.
was like, I know what a human doula is, but a doggy doula? Let's talk about this, girlfriend, before she gets
Yeah.
on. So, yeah, I'm really cool. I want to hear more about it
And you have a
myself.
certification behind that too.
Yeah, cool. Well, yeah, thank you so much for asking. So, if I go back in time to working with that trainer, she was a great resource for me when it comes to where do I start? What courses do I take? Like, what are some things that you've really enjoyed doing? So during that time, she recommended to me the Family Pause parent education programs. So they're one of the leaders when it comes to dogs and babies and dogs and toddlers in the field. And I began my journey of discovering how important this topic is and how it's not a very widespread type of subject beyond bring home the baby blanket of actually understanding what are some things that we can do to prepare the dog for the baby and to continue to support the family throughout the changes that happen as the baby grows as well. So a big shout out to the Family Pause Parent Education programs. I learned so much from them. So I was a licensed educator for them, which means that I was able to give presentations to, I've done like a local doula club. I've done like a local library where they have like kids hours, and I would show up and just teach them how to interact with a plush dog and just kind of give them the overview, which was really fun. But as you can all imagine, with pandemic, it was harder to do in person presentations. And a part of the license agreement was that I had to do my own private services. So after a few years of realizing that I'm not doing as many of the presentations as I wanted, I decided to just kind of do my own private services. And that's my doggy doula. So when people can't get in touch and they say they're expecting a baby, we look at, okay, well, are there any behavior issues that we want to make sure that we address before the baby arrives? Because it's important to remember that we do have the time and the energy much more right now when baby's still not here versus once the baby arrives, we get so much busier. It can be so much more difficult if we leave these things. So behavioral issues, creating different types of exposures of, okay, well, this is what it looks like when I carry a baby. These are some baby sounds. This is the baby equipment. So my goal is also to help my clients envision all the different scenarios of areas that the dog may be a little nervous or may react in a kind of weird way. What if your dog is in a little let's say a little carrier and you pick up your baby, but then your dog decides to chase after it and kind of nip at it? Like, you never know. Some dogs may want to chase after something that's moving faster. So by going through a set of exercises and scenarios, my goal is really to help my clients expect different things and also feel prepared that if something happens that they didn't think will happen, they still have some tools in their pocket to be like, okay, that's okay. It's good that I know that this is something that's difficult for my dog. And these are the things, the steps 1, 2, 3 that I'm going to take now in order to make sure that my dog is displaying other and more appropriate behaviors around my baby.
Has there ever been an instant where you've worked with a family and the dog has not conformed and you had to make other suggestions? Has that ever been an instance with you?
Yes. So there is, when it comes to what I do, and I will say what I did. So I have the expecting families, and then there is also the dogs and toddlers. And I did offer and work with that service and worked with families for a few years when it comes to dogs and toddlers. But something that I discovered is that those cases are much, much more challenging. Oftentimes, a lot of stress will accumulate and a lot of incident will accumulate on top of each other, with busy families and a lot going on, not contacting a professional until it's too late. And more often than not, I found myself being in situations where people just wanted me to tell them whether they should keep their dog or give up their dog. And that was a difficult
That makes it
situation.
hard.
To be in, especially just knowing realistically, like how much time they can give it, how much they can manage the situation. Sometimes there is just a fallout in trust. And if you've seen your dog nip at your baby, like you're going to have a certain type of feeling towards your dog. And I honestly had to take a break from working on dogs and toddlers. I'm taking a break from working on those cases for now, because I do think it's important for me to also enjoy what I do. And I obviously have referrals and people who I can suggest when it comes to people getting in touch. But this, due to those reasons, is something that I had to change in my offerings.
I thank you for saying that. That had to be a difficult decision for you, but also for one of self-care for you. And Jessica, I know you kind of stepped away from a couple things too because of things. So I thank you for saying that, because I think some people would really just perhaps muster through it and just like,
that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah,
I gotta do it. I said I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and then we are the ones that really suffer from, that emotion and from those, that, I don't know what the word I'm searching for, but
it's burnout,
trauma or burnout trauma, whatever it is. Yeah. Thank you for talking about that. That is so incredible to address with our audience. I just a fun question for you. What if you could train any dog right now from a breed perspective? What is the most enjoyable breed that you enjoy as well training? And on the flip side of that, which is a breed you're like, oh my gosh, I've had so many issues with this breed. Are there any ones that you can cite?
Well, I will put doodles in both categories. You can imagine doodles are very popular. They're very adorable. So they're super cute. They're very smart, very fun to work with. But then they can also be really challenging. It can, emotions can rise super high. And due to that fact, I will put the whole doodle category as the best and the hardest to work with.
I love that. So I think, I have not had a dog since May of 2022 when my moose passed away, and have recently been exploring dogs and have found, I'm going to get a dog within the next month or so. And so I love Burmese poos. I love the golden doodles. I love all of those dogs. And so we had a conversation about that. And so, and my parents used to have standard poodles, and my sister has a standard party poodle. But yeah, I thank you for saying that. Just another reason why, when we're, and then also, so do people ever contact you when they're getting ready? Do you think that it's almost like like pre-counseling for a marriage? That there is pre-counseling to get a dog, that to know what you're doing? Do people ever contact you about that?
Yeah, I've definitely had some clients who've gotten in touch knowing that they're bringing the dog home and being proactive, making sure that, they have information on how to set up their home, how to get started with potty training, how to get started with crate training, what type of crate should I get for their dog, how should they go about, if they have a type of a long journey, bringing their dog back home, how do they help their puppy decompress or sleep at night. There is definitely so much to address at each stage along the way that I appreciate. Proactive pet parents are my favorites because I know that they're going to do everything in their power to set them and their dogs up for success.
And that's really what it's all about. If you could name like the top 3 tips that you would give to a pet parent from a training perspective, what would that be? What would those 3 be?
Any age of dog?
Any age.
Okay, top 3. The first one is remember that your dog won't know what to do unless you teach them to do something else. So dogs just do dog things or do learn behaviors that work for them. And those may not be the best options for us, but we have to remember that unless we teach them something else, we can't be upset with them for doing what's natural and normal to a dog. Management. So I feel like oftentimes we just kind of leave management behind. But when I create training plans, management strategies are a huge part of what we create. So managing undesirable behaviors in ways so that your dog cannot rehearse those undesirable behaviors. So a most common example can be, well, if I don't want my dog to jump up on people who come in through the front door, let me clip a leash on my dog and keep them on a leash by my side, or let me put them behind a baby gate so people can come in, and then I can teach my dog, how to greet those people. Yeah. So don't underestimate your ability to have control over the environment and over your dog's behavior, and this way help them by preventing the rehearsal of undesirable behaviors.
Yeah.
And the third one will be kind of connected to the first one, but just remember that you can teach your dog desirable behaviors, and you can teach those behaviors using positive reinforcement training, whether that's food rewards, toy rewards, things in life that your dog loves. Teach them, I don't want you to jump. Well, let's go and sit before we meet this person, or let's bob their palm with your nose, and this is how we're going to do it. I hate it when you pull on the leash. Let me reward you at a high rate for staying by my side. And then I know that over time, you're going to get used to staying by my side, and I don't have to worry about the reward. Sometimes you get stuck on, I don't want to give them rewards, and more like frustrated about their behaviors, to where we can really use reinforcement to our advantage.
I love this conversation.
Good. That was great.
Questions?
No, I think that was great. I loved it.
That was phenomenal. Thank you for being with us today. I love you. I've talked about you for about 4 months now to Jessica. And I'm like, we gotta get her on. It's been a question of schedules. Thank you for being with us today. If our audience wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you on any social media channels or email or your website?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I really hope that your listeners found some little nuggets helpful. Our website is familypups with PUPZ.com, to where they can find information about us, my credentials, our services. We also have a podcast, the Family Pups Podcast. We have a blog page with a lot of great articles. On social media, we are at Family Pups. We're most active on Instagram, so you can either send us an email through our website or DM us on Instagram. Happy to connect, happy to answer if there is a question.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being with us. Question for you before you leave us. How do you treat your pets like family? Tanya, how do you? What are some of the things that you, and then we want to know a little bit about your pets too.
Our dog is named Zippo. He's really adorable, beagle mixed type of looking dog. I treat him, I think that the biggest way that I treat him as family, which has really helped both of us in the long run, is that when we go for a walk, I really let him sniff as much as he wants to sniff. I try not to like hurry him along. And this is something that I like to share with my clients too. Hey, this can be a great time for you to practice mindfulness. If your dog is really stuck on the smell, you can also breathe. You can notice like a beautiful flower or a bird that's right next to you. Just letting that dog sniff and explore the environment can have such a great benefit to them. And I think that that's the main one that Zippo really appreciates from me.
I love that. I think so many people are in a hurry. Everybody's in a hurry. We know that. And that especially even when we're walking our dogs, that it's like, okay, I've got 10 minutes in, out, come on, pee, poop, whatever you say. I watch people do that all the time. And it amazes me when you allow them to be in their element and really take their time, the more that it goes up and down the leash with you as well. And I love the mindfulness portion of it.
Yep, I do too. I think that's great.
Thank you for being with us today. We so enjoyed having you. We'd like to get you some articles up on our website on Pets or Family as well. And just I want to have you back to talk more about training. I think that would just be lovely. Thank you for being with us today. You could have spent your time with anybody and you chose to be with us. You are just an honor to have you on today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Jessica and Tricia. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
We want to say thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find us on all of the channels, Apple, Google, Spotify, and anywhere that you're listening. We want to say thank you. We want to give a shout out to some of our sponsors, Joke, Augie Bones, Forged and Form, and Moose's March is our charity. Just as you guys know, Tricia lost her Mr. Moose a couple of years back to cancer, and we formed a charity for Moose, and we are helping other family members get through pet cancer. So if you have it in your heart to make a donation, go over to our website, Moose's March, and you can make a donation, see how you can help. If you have a story you want to share with us, feel free to share a story. We'd love to hear it. November is Pet Cancer Month, and we would love to hear about it. So feel free to come over there. And as always, shout out to my girl, Kathy Delaney at Naps. You know, Kathy, I give you my love. So if you're always looking for a professional pet sitter, always go over to the National Association of Professional Pet Sitters. We will give you the best pet care that they can find. You know that. You know, I'm a big fan because I am a professional pet sitter, and that's my organization. So once again, thank you all for listening to us. Wait till next week. We'll have something amazing for you guys. And again, thank you for the love and support. If you want to talk to me, it's Jessica at petsourfamily.net. You can reach out to Tricia at petsourfamily.net. Join our email list. Keep us up to date what's going on. Share the love. Hope to see you guys soon. Talk to you later. Mwah.